All righty, everybody. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So, guys, most ranking videos tell you who's number one, right? But this one is a bit different because we made this ranking. And today, I think we're going to roast it. So, welcome everybody to our YouTube Live. I have with me Dipesh and Evan with us today. All three of us are going to be looking into the GMAT Club US Business School 2026 ranking. And I'm so excited to have you guys here. Dipesh, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Selbi. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Dipesh. I'm graduating from Kellogg in just a week's time. So, super excited about all the changes going on. And really excited to just talk about the ranking and roast different business schools and the rankings that we have.
I like the enthusiasm. We're a little nervous too, like to roast, but yeah. Evan, what about you? You've been here for
Hi.
quite a long time.
Do I need to say anything else?
Of
I'm sorry, I'm new
course,
to this.
of course, you should reintroduce
Well,
yourself.
where do I begin? My name's Evan, as the title states. I am a part of the Darden class 2025. For those of you who do not know what school that is, that's University of Virginia. I worked for GMAT Club for quite a while, doing a variety of videos with Selbi here. And unlike what the title states, again, I am not a current student, but much like that fake news, I happen to think rankings fall in a similar category. So this kind of works out pretty well for me.
But yes, Dipesh, do you want to bring the rankings up a bit, especially for those people who have not watched the video or checked out our blog post? We have updated the GMAT Club US Business School rankings on our website as well as on our YouTube channel. So for those of y'all who did see it, you all know that Wharton got the number one spot. And I actually want to know, does everybody agree with that? So if whoever's joining here, like, do you agree with Wharton getting number one? Please mention that in the chat below. But while you guys are telling me that, Dipesh, what do you think?
Um, I feel it's always very tricky because one year it's Wharton, the other it's Howard. Some other year it's Kellogg as well. So it's totally like tricky year by year. But I think this year should Wharton be number one. I guess I don't know how I feel about it, but yeah, can do with that.
How
Well, the
did you
data
feel?
suggests so. I would say.
How did you feel when you saw Kellogg at number five? Especially
Um,
since you're graduating at Kellogg in a
yeah,
bit.
be it number five or number 10 for me, it's always going to be number one. I would not have asked for a better experience in a better school suited for me. Yeah, so it's surprising that it's at number five and not at number one, but it's okay. Here's
Evan?
industry.
I mean, Darden's never been number one, so I'm not surprised at that. Um, with respect to Kellogg, these are very fluid rankings, and it's highly subjective. And there are going to be years where it's going to be Booth, and Booth has been number one numerous times. There'll be times where it's Harvard or Stanford or Northwestern or Wharton. Uh, I would say the only time I'd be genuinely surprised if a school like MIT or Dartmouth Tuck or my incredible alma mater UVA Darden ended up number one in some of these rankings. That would be a time to say, okay, let's dig in. Let's figure out what happened here.
That's
But in
true.
general, I mean, every school in pretty much the top five is going to have a shot at that number one spot, and I don't think anyone should be surprised when the rankings come out and reflects that.
That's true. I mean, the top three, Harvard, Stanford, and Wharton, in the
Mhm.
GMAT Club rankings, they're actually very close to each other with the pointing system that we did. So they're kind of in the same boat, so to speak. So even when we put this on Reddit, like a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, the Wharton students must be like flexing and like extremely happy and proud that they're at number one." But Harvard and Stanford aren't that far behind. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Who are we speaking to here?
Both of y'all.
Dipesh, why don't you lead us off?
Okay. I see. First of all, do you see my screen? Like I've put it up.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Let me add that to the stage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here.
Yes.
So here you can see like the final score. This is like the official post on GMAT Club. I can see that Wharton, Stanford, and Howard, they are within bracket of 0.50 points, which, as Selbi mentioned, puts all of these three business schools in the same boat. And like Stanford and Howard basically are like 0.02 point of difference. I think there could be just one thing, like one of the aspects that people usually evaluate and that could just make or break this tie. Usually it's employment report. I know like a Stanford University, for them employment report is quite low, like the percentage employed and the percentage employed 3 months after graduation is quite low. That's because a lot of people go into entrepreneurship and they do not look for jobs, so it's like 60%, 70%, or even 80%, whereas that's not the case with Howard or Wharton or any other business school here. So I think that particular aspect, when we consider, it keeps Stanford a little bit lower in the ranking, but otherwise it should go a little bit up above. But again, there are certain other aspects that come in conjunction with that. The class size is small. The average salaries are relatively high. If we are looking at like top 200 or 300 people, or the salaries at Howard, or even let's say Booth or Kellogg, that could potentially be very much similar to Stanford. But I think that's primarily the issue, or I won't call it an issue, but that's primarily the factor why Stanford University is basically number two and Howard is so close to that.
Yeah, but again, it's such a minute difference, right? So
Yeah.
in a way, they are again at the same. But I kind of saw Evan when he was like
Yeah.
disapprove in a way.
Well, I'll disagree a little bit here because I've heard the same excuse given to Stanford many, many times, and I feel like that's a pass. Where I think it's a correlation causation effect here and a mistake. Stanford students, right or wrong, have an incredibly large ego because most of them are incredibly intelligent. Most of them are incredibly qualified. They're going to one of the top schools, not only in the United States, but in the world. But when we give them the out to say, well, no, their employment is so low because they're doing entrepreneurship or they're doing something else, I hate that excuse because I don't buy it. I think a lot of students hold out because they want to go into tech, they want to go into banking, they want to go into these high growth, highly competitive fields. They made an investment, they went to Stanford, they feel they've earned it. And when they don't, it becomes a cop out of, well, I'm just going to start my own company. And I think that in and of itself is why I ding Stanford quite a bit at times, in my personal opinion, and why I think others should as well. It's a fantastic school. It's one of the best in the world, as I already said. But you're giving them the excuse. Like, oh, Harvard produces a lot of startups, as you've already said. Well, guess what? Harvard also has a higher placement rate. So where do we draw the line? I also ding Harvard for that as well, for that matter. Harvard, I think, has a lower placement rate than some of the other M7 and D15s. And very similarly, students hold out. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, it's okay to reflect on that and say they're not placing as strongly as maybe anticipated. And that's either the market or the school's brand that's affecting that. And I think it's okay to be honest with ourselves. Because I know U.S. News at times certainly isn't honest, and I know we have our own biases as well, for that matter.
What do you normally look at? Like, rankings aside, I actually want to hear from both of y'all. When you guys were applying to schools, what were like the biggest criteria for you? When you were applying.
Yeah.
Dipesh, why don't you lead us here?
I was just going to call you for this. Okay, I would say like I spoke with people from all the different business schools. Like for me, I was like, ranking is definitely one of the things that people consider, and so did I. So for me, I was like, okay, I want to go to one of the M7 schools. So that was my first filter. The second one was I was talking to people from all of these M7 business schools, and honestly, those who know me, they know what my username on GMAT Club was. It was the same username for like 3-4 years. And that kind of reflected why I was so interested in Kellogg, because the people that I talked to from different clubs, the admissions team, and the online media presence, social media presence, all of those things, I was like really, really impressed by Kellogg. I did talk to people from different business schools as well, and I personally felt that kind of connect with only Kellogg. So for me, it was always Kellogg, and that's what my decision was based on, other than the ranking.
Evan?
Well, so I should have said this at the very beginning of this video, but I feel like those who are hyper-focused on rankings have a symbiotic relationship with stupidity, and that you should not be going to get an MBA. I sincerely believe that. If you look at rankings and say, I'm going to the number one school that I can possibly get into, I don't think you're brainless. I think you're headless. There is just no rationale for you to become so granular and so fixated on these numbers. I was focused on the T15. Now, there is something to be said for the T15, just like there's something to be said for the M7. You do see drop-offs between these areas, and especially, between the M7 and T15, obviously I'm biased because I went to Darden, but it's minimal. Between the T15 and say the top 25, there's a stark difference. So it's okay to draw a line somewhere and say, this is the line that I'm not accepting. Mine was T15. For Dipesh, it was pretty much M7. Darden, for me, stuck out for a couple of reasons, and it had nothing to do with the ranking.
Yeah.
It was incredibly high placement rate, first and foremost, incredibly high salaries coming out. The teachers are ranked number one, the professors are ranked number one in teaching every single year by most outlets. So you have incredibly good professors. They're great at their job and they want to teach you. I know that a lot of universities, they don't really want to teach you. They're at Wharton, I have been told, this is not slander because I've been told, and I'm prefacing that this may not be a fact, that if you show up for 60% of the classes, that's 100% attendance. Darn, you have to show up every class. They do care. And I think that emphasis on the educational component. Yes, an MBA is for networking. Yes, an MBA is to land a job, and it's for recruitment and on-campus recruiting. That is all very important. It's to establish a social life. You're there to learn. And if a school isn't, not that I'm calling out any schools for this matter, but if you're not going there to actually learn something, the school's not backing itself up with that educational program, they're just relying on the students to be really, really great students that are going to succeed and thrive no matter where they go. And they're relying on their brain to carry them into wherever they go there, post-graduation. And to me, that's not acceptable. I wanted to actually learn. I made a huge investment. I wanted to come out being able to say, you know what, I can make critical decisions in a business setting. And I felt Darden was one of the few schools that was actually going to provide that for me.
But Dipesh, I have a question. I mean, the GMAT Club rankings, what were they mainly based on? Like, what were the criteria that we looked at, when we decided that this is number one, this is number two?
Yeah, so basically it's a mix of different factors which are classified into three categories. One is the pre-MBA stuff. For example, what's the GPA, average GPA of the classes, what's the average GMAT, and stuff like that. The second one was the post-MBA outcomes, because a lot of people come into MBA programs to get a job. So post-MBA outcomes in terms of average salary, base salary, and total compensation, what's the percentage placement was by graduation, by 3 months of graduation. And another one was how the peers and the employers look at these business schools. And that was quantified on a scale of 1 to 5. So it was a mix of the pre-MBA stuff, the post-MBA outcomes, and the employer and peer perspective or peer previews.
Understood. I mean, Evan, when you mentioned, does not matter the rankings. At the end of the day, you did care if your school was at a T15, right? So in some way or form, it's not the biggest deal, if you're comparing between few schools in that bracket. But of course, it does matter, how all of that stands out, in this small group of okay, it has to be T30 at least. Otherwise, what is the point?
But I would push back on that assumption as well. But first, I want to actually come back to what Dipesh said, because we can address whether going outside the 25 matters. And and I meant to preface this at the beginning of my last statement. If for me it was the T15, but when I said drop off, I was referring to full time, and we can dig into part time versus full time versus regional, and when that matters and when it makes sense to go to those schools for certain people. Because I don't want to come off, and I don't think anyone here wants to come off as an elitist. We're all going or have gone to great business schools. We don't want to keep people thinking that, again, we're all egomaniacal maniacs. But Dipesh, GMAT Club's rankings, and US News falls prey to this as well, ranks employers. And that is inherently subjective, is it not?
Well, basically, it does not rank employers. It ranks the employer employer's perspective of what the reputation of this business school is. And there's like survey that we refer to online where employers have rated business schools based on 1 to 5, like how likely are they to employ a person from this business school versus that business school.
Because I was going to dive in. I think US News does do this. I think one of their criteria is like the quality of employers. And this is why these rankings are so subjective, and why it's such a pain in the neck to adhere to them every single year, and why schools are so worried about them. Because students do care, rightfully so. Students always want to go to the best possible place. Everyone attending an MBA is an A-type personality. We always want to succeed and be number one. Most of us graduated in the top of our classes across undergrad, high school, middle school, elementary school, kindergarten, pre-K, and probably going back to sometime further before that. But there's a line. There's a line to the stupidity, because it is so subjective and because there are so many variables that just do not matter, because it's someone else's opinion that's reflecting it, and it's not subjective data that's reflecting. And that's why US News, like our GMAT Club rankings as well, should be taken with a massive grain of salt.
That's true. I do agree with that. And when you used a word granular, I really like that, because when I went for this ranking, I did not go to like, okay, Kellogg is number 1 this year, so I'm going to go for Kellogg only, or things like that. For my top 5 schools that I was applying to, 3 of those 5 were M7 and 2 were like top 15 schools. And I was like, well, I would have been okay if I got into any of those 5 schools, but I'm really excited, and I was really excited to get into Kellogg. That was altogether a different thing. But for me, it was not always the granular thing that, okay, these are the 3 schools who are ranked number 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to apply to these 3 schools. But for me, it was like not at that granular level, but okay, these are the schools that I'm really excited to go to. These are the schools that if I apply to and I get into, I'll be really happy. And then these are the schools that I do not want to apply to, because I do not feel that I'll belong over there. There could be multiple aspects, and that does not need to have something at a very granular level.
And I don't, just to follow up on that, because I don't disagree. When I was applying to schools, I think the year of US News that I'm thinking of is 2023. Darden was ranked lower than Michigan. Michigan had a great year, I think, in 2022, 2023. They were number 9 or 10. Like they had made a pretty significant leap. And I think Darden was at like 12 or 13 in US News. 2024 and 2025, Darden was 11th and Michigan was behind them. So if the year that I was considering schools and applying and making my final decision on where I would go, if you had chosen Michigan on the premise of rankings alone, you would have gone to an inferior school 2 of the 3 years by your own definition. That's the type of insanity and innate stupidity that I think pervades a lot of the corners of the MBA realms, and it turns into an echo chamber. I see it on Reddit frequently. And it makes me laugh just reading these statements or these posts over and over again. Go touch grass, guys. Go and breathe some air. Go see the sun for the first time in probably 3.5 months.
Yeah.
The ranking does not matter if you're at a certain point. Now, for those who are in a different situation, I was going to a full-time program. Dipesh, you were going to a full-time program. it will a lot of times make sense to go to a program that isn't T15, and that can be T30 or T50 or T100 for that matter. Because I think a lot of students often assume, and Selby, you can hopefully back me up on this, that the best school that you go to, the better school that you go to, the better your outcome will be. And people often forget a human being still has to work hard. You don't get this degree and then every magical door opens up. You still have a lot of work to do. And so I think given that there are other opportunities beyond the T15 and M7, GMAT Club likes to help facilitate those ideas, and why we host, or Selby and the rest of the forum hosts, a MBA Spotlight. Do I have that name right? MBA, is it still called MBA Spotlight?
Yes, MBA Spotlight Fair, June 10th and 11th, for anybody who has not registered.
It's today. Okay, today's the 6th. Okay, you guys have a couple of days to register. Fun event. A lot of good. I'm not being paid by GMAT Club, at least not anymore. I just know I attended a lot of them. I met a couple of directors of business schools while I was there and ended up forming relationships that probably helped make my application easier to. We just lost Selby. Easier to spot.
She's back in it now.
So would highly recommend you attend all of that. Dipesh, what are your I guess I can start facilitating then. Not something I'm unaccustomed to. Where do you draw the line for students who are looking at T25, T50, T100? Where do you think and when do you think it makes sense for students to go to those types of schools?
I think I feel like one, location is definitely one of the aspects. A lot of people want to go to, let's say, West Coast versus East Coast. They do not want to be in Midwest. So one, location is definitely very important. Secondly, it depends like why they want to get an MBA. Do they want to get an MBA to learn some concepts and they can make do with like the classes from, let's say, top 25 or top 50 or top 100, whatever that is. And the third one is like, do they want to get an employment out of that? Certainly, we cannot deny that the schools which are ranked higher, they have better opportunities when it comes to employment post MBA. But if someone, for example, if I were a family business person and I wanted to go for like an MBA just to get some knowledge so that I can contribute meaningfully in my business, then I would not care for the rankings as much. Let's say if I get a good scholarship from top 50, and financial burden is a real issue for me, I would not I would not care for the ranking of the business school. I would care for the financial assistance I'm getting there.
Yeah,
So there
and
are
the
multiple aspects. Yeah. And if there are none of these aspects, then it definitely, I would say, does not matter to go for the ranking. It definitely matters like you talk to the people, you understand, because MBA is not just academics. MBA academics is just one of many parts of MBA experience. MBA is like academics, the people that you work with, like people you study with, go out with, networking opportunities, location. I would say like location is really important for the business schools, and it's like employment is definitely there. Plus the kind of culture they have. If you are more into, let's say, a specific industry, if you want to go into entrepreneurship, maybe Stanford, maybe Babson. I hear Babson is also considered very good for entrepreneurship, but it is not in top 50
Famous.
or top 25.
Yeah, very famous for being consistently ranked ahead of Stanford for
Exactly.
for entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so if I have to go for entrepreneurship, I might not be hinged on just a Stanford, but maybe I'll keep my doors open for Babson as well. But if I'm thinking of, let's say, technology, maybe Babson will not be number one for me, or even number two, number three. So I would say that these things do matter. The kind of network, the kind of resources that the school has to offer you, and the kind of community that this school has to offer. These things definitely matter, and I would say to an extent matter beyond the rankings. So ranking is just a baseline to maybe figure out like what you want. It gives you idea, it gives you data, and based on that data, you need to make your decision by your own and see where you want to go.
I think you hit on a lot of excellent points, because I think one of the ways that not only GMAT Club's rankings fall short, see, we're fair. We're We try and be as unbiased as possible. At least I try to be as unbiased as possible.
Yeah.
No one's paying me anything right now. I can rip everyone from here to Timbuktu. But area where the GMAT Club rankings most likely fall short in U.S. news, and don't even get me started on the Financial Times or anyone else who even attempts to put together these fakakta rankings, because most of them are completely asinine. It's catering to a very specific type of student. It's catering to the person who is most likely trying to career pivot into consulting, into investment banking, into technology. It's catering to a student who is looking to get the best network humanly possible, who already has business acumen, but needs to round out their overall skill set a little bit more to then become competitive for some of these positions. But think about how tiny a subset of the population that is compared to the rest of the United States and the world, for that matter. That is incredibly tiny. Obviously, Dipesh, me and you fall into that category of tiny human beings. But nonetheless, that is who they're targeting. It does not target the folks who already are very successful. It doesn't target the folks who are running a family business. It doesn't target folks who want to stay in, since we mentioned Babson. If you want to stay in the Boston area, Babson may not be a bad choice.
Yeah.
It'd be like going to Suffolk Law in Boston. If you want to be a lawyer, they're a regional law school. They tend to keep you and will take you pretty much step in step, I think, with Harvard Law. And then the financial implications as well of taking a full scholarship at a T25 or T50 and not going to a T15 or M7. There are just so many circumstances where it does not make sense to adhere to the gold standard of rankings. Like if that is your Bible, awesome. You are going to fall woefully short of your goals. I can almost guarantee it. You need to have a very clear understanding of why you're going and what you're trying to get out of it, because that ain't going to cut it.
Yeah. And just to add to that, like I can't count the number of people that I've spoken with who are like, yeah, you know what, I'm not very happy at my current school. I wanted to go to Harvard, Stanford, Wharton because they are highly ranked. And on the flip side, there are so many people that I've met. They're like, yeah, you know what, I am at like this T15 school and I could not have been happier if I were at Harvard, Stanford, Wharton. So it's like once you enter that particular pool, you get to experience the life yourself. And once you enter that, the ranking will not matter as much. What matters is the kind of experience you are having. You can be a part of a herd and be like, just follow the trend and go to the top business school in the world. Or you can find the place that you belong to and have the best time of your life there.
It's true.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. A business school is what you are going to make of it. And it is something that is uniquely individual to every single person making that decision. One person who thrives at Wharton may not thrive at Darden. One person who thrives at Darden may not survive at Cornell or Michigan or Yale or MIT. There is not a single human being or ranking that can tell you this is why you should go to this school. You have to make that decision on your own. And I think where a lot of students fall short is, go to the best school. They have the best of everything and it scales, meaning if UVA is 11th, yeah, they're pretty darn good. But if I go to Wharton, well, they're just going to have the best of everything. No, you idiot, you bozo. Throw away your GRE score because you don't deserve it. No, Darden, I'll just reference it because I'm proud of my school. Punches well above its weight class in investment banking and in consulting. I think most would view MBB consulting at Darden's, pretty much akin to pretty much everything outside of Harvard. If your goal is to get into consulting, Darden makes perfect sense for you.
Yeah.
If your goal is to get into a different field, like tech, Darden doesn't do well in tech. We really don't. You need to go to Michigan Ross, because Michigan Ross and MIT are probably two of the, I know Michigan in particular, MIT, I think maybe just because they're dorky, it's the mathematician image in my mind that maybe that's probably better for you. But regardless, that Michigan is going to punch well above its weight class in that area. But if you're going, if you go to Michigan and you hope to recruit to Microsoft, awesome. You go to Darden and want to recruit to Microsoft, you chose the wrong school. You need to look at employment reports and see who's coming to campus, see what not only the function you want to be in, but also the industry you want to be in. And that is one of the very most crucial categories that you need to check off to say, this is the school I'm going to because it gets me from point A to point B of where I want to go. Don't just look at the ranking. Don't just look at the T15 and say, I got into one, my life is perfect. You're going to lead an upper middle class life the rest of your life, but you might struggle significantly to get to the place you want to be rather than have the perfect fit that is going to afford you that smooth transition.
Yeah. And beyond, sorry.
Yeah.
After hearing both of you and like how you guys like normally would look into these not rankings, but how you would want to apply to a business school, what you would look into. I think once anybody would look at these rankings, like, and this is the rankings, guys, for anybody who, why is it not letting it add to this?
Darden is 13th in our rankings. It's fake news to me. I mean, I've.
Oh, okay. It's showing. Is it showing?
Well, it was briefly, but it cut off me and Dipesh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe Dipesh, if you could bring my spreadsheet to the screen.
You guys ranked Darden 13th. My goodness.
I can't bring it on the screen. I don't think I have the access to do that. I can just bring it to the stage.
Selbi, I taught you better than this. The years I invested in you.
I don't know why it's not working.
I knew Selbi before she was Instagram famous. I was the one who knew her when she was a green labeled junior moderator on GMAT Club, just trying to make her way in the world.
I know, those were the good times. But I was just trying to showcase the GMAT Club rankings, and I think what I would look into more, and if you were smart, I think you would look into the same. When you look at the rankings, even if Harvard, so it's okay if it's not sharing. But
no, MBAs aren't smart. That's a very large assumption.
But what I was trying to get into is if Harvard is at number one, you just look into why the ranking specified as Harvard is number one. And like look at each criteria and see, okay, it's because of this, and does that matter to you or not? I think that is like sort of the conclusion we're coming into.
It's short, Dipesh, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I would say there are a lot of factors, micro level factors, I would rather say, that that are not considered in these rankings. For example, at Kellogg, we have quarter system. At, let's say, Darden or Wharton, there's semester system. Some people would prefer semester system over quarter system, and then there will be people who would prefer quarter system over semester system. That is the micro level aspect of like how two business schools are different. That does matter to a few people. Similarly, there are some other things as well, like for in academic settings, I know Howard and Darden, both of them are like heavy on cases, and there's like a lot of cases discussed in the classes. Other business schools are not as much into cases in the class. At Kellogg, there's a mix of cases and lectures. For me, that was a preferred like mode of study. We do have time to go through the cases. We do go through the lectures as well, and we have a combination of both. And I preferred that. Okay, this is what is going to work best for me. And I'm sure even you must have considered that as well. That Darden has a lot of cases, and it'll just give you some real life experiences in the classes. So these are the things that people usually do not consider, and they should consider. And they are not reflected in ranking in any ways.
I mean, you talk about micro level. First off, it's a microaggression that Darden is ranked 13th in GMAT Club's rankings. Let's make that very clear. Second, it says GMAT Club ranking A, not rankings. See, so we have to write off the rankings entirely because I can't even spell. I feel vindicated that UVA being 13th. Behind Yale and Michigan and UC Berkeley. My goodness, that's just a slap in the face. But what I want to echo that Dipesh just said, and we've kind of highlighted it a couple of times, and I'll use Apple as an example. I think Apple, when they designed their AirPods, whatever these things are called, they designed them to fit like 70% of the population of the world, or at least to the United States. There are 350 million people in the United States, give or take, and you're creating something that's going to fit approximately 200 million plus of them somehow. That's what these rankings do. You're looking at something that's going to fit a broad category. Granted, we've already established that it's a small proportion of folks, but it's a broad category. Darden is known colloquially as the boot camp. You're doing cases day in and day out. It is a case per class per day, and they will cold call you, and you will have to have an answer. And if you don't, that takes a chunk out of your participation grade. They force you to truly rely on your learning team and rely on yourself to teach yourself those skills. Personally, I think I bit off a little bit more than I should have when I joined Darden. I think the case study is a great way to learn. I think teaching it, because Darden is 100% case study, teaching it for quantitative classes like accounting and finance, maybe lecture style is a little bit better, but they're never going to change because they want to stay their 100% case. You have to go in knowing that what case study means is it's self-teaching. You then go to your learning team. You guys come together and teach yourselves and fill in holes. And then you go to class and the professor kind of walks you through the case and you fill in based on what everyone else is doing correct. And the professor guides that discussion and makes sure that everyone gets the right answers and that everyone's on the same page. Very different way of learning, very engaging, but very different way of learning than sitting in a classroom lecture style and writing down, CAPM and WAC and how to establish a free cash flow analysis and then how to discount it using terminal value. Very different learning those steps and then applying it rather than self-teaching, group learning, and then collectively every person in your section kind of teaching each other and the professor teaching and guiding you where you're stuck. So be like Dipesh said, if you're aware of those differences, that'll help guide your decision. Because once more, if you say I'm going to the top ranked school no matter what, and turns out case study is where you're weak, you're probably not gonna have a fun time. Or if you think lectures are boring and you want to, and when you're in class, you're thinking about the 500 ways that you can kill yourself because the professor's boring. Again, probably not a good place to be for you. But those rankings, God forbid we ever question those rankings.
Yeah,
That's true.
I'm off my soapbox. I'm done.
I have a question for both of y'all. Like,
Sure.
I did bring. I'm showing the spreadsheet here. Was there any school that kind of shocked you when you saw this, both for the U.S. news as well as for GMAT Club rankings, except your own school?
that's a good question.
Yeah. Any other school that you feel like shocked you in a way?
I mean, Dipesh, you had a very active hand in this. Do you have any that come to mind?
I am just checking one. I'm just checking the ranking here to see which one.
I mean, while you're checking, I can say I'm surprised that Dartmouth is 10. I think of them as a better school. Personally, I think Columbia, it should be a little bit lower. I would probably switch Columbia and NYU with Dartmouth. I think Dartmouth deserves to be somewhere at minimum at 7. I think Michigan at 11 is, made me chuckle. Definitely tickled my side a little bit. Carnegie Mellon at 15, supplanting Cornell, which death taxes, Cornell, U.S. News ranking 15 are the 3 most consistent things in life. And so seeing Cornell supplanted like that definitely was a head scratcher.
Yeah, I agree with what everything Evan has mentioned because those are like the top ranking part. But there's one school which I feel like should have been ranked better, and that's Forster. I see Forster is ranked number 26. I feel like it has a lot.
They're usually a little higher. Like Vanderbilt at 17, that they had a huge rise. UCLA and USC falling, but Foster and Vanderbilt kind of flipped.
Yeah. So for Foster, the thing is, it's on the West Coast. A lot of people want to go to tech, and that's why they go there, and they get jobs as well. So it's like a lot of factors are there. Again, quite focused on the post MBA outcome. So I think because of that, or what other data aspects, this is ranked number 26. But I would say if I had to just shuffle it a little bit, I would put it in top 20.
Well, keeping in mind no, these rankings. So I think US, or not US News, I think GMAT Club rankings, part of the problem is it focuses heavily on outcome. And there's nothing inherently wrong with it, but it does pre-select for schools that place a lot in investment banking and in consulting, the two highest paying brackets. So you might get a bit of a disparity there because of that focus. That said, tech got slaughtered this past year and has, I think, over the last couple of years. And as such, you're going to see the likes of Michigan and other schools that rely so heavily on it, face the consequences in the rankings, which just goes to show you, did the education change? No, nothing changed. It's just that one year tech was hiring great, and the next year it was hiring poorly. The educational experience did not change one bit. Maybe two professors moved on. Maybe one retired. Maybe they said, I've had enough of these snot-nosed MBAs. By the way, MBAs are very intelligent. I joke. Don't blackball me from any events. I need my MBA friends. I paid a lot of money for them. Are you experiencing anything different? No, the only difference is that the on-campus recruiting has changed slightly because you're no longer focused so heavily on tech, given what just happened. But these are why rankings are stupid. Because if you chose Michigan exclusively for the ranking, then you deserve what you get.
I have one more question. So the M7 this time around, like I think all of the schools, even with the US News and with the GMAT Club, they're still in the M7. Does it, if anybody's applying to any of these schools, does this ranking matter a lot? As long as you're picking an M7, is it okay if you choose any of them irrespective of their ranking?
Indeed.
Yeah, as I said, Dipesh, you went to an M7. Go ahead and answer.
I would say like it totally depends like where you want to go to. Like if someone wants to go into marketing, then probably for them Kellogg or Wharton would make more sense than Booth. If someone wants to go into, let's say, investment banking or something else, for them maybe Stern would make more sense than, let's say, Stanford, because a lot of opportunities are there on the East Coast in terms of finance. So I would say again, this is just, I would say, people should consider this as a recommendation pipeline and not something as a hardbound definition of which is the best business school in the world. M7 here, I would say ranking does not matter among the schools themselves. What people should do is like, okay, these are the top business schools. I want to go to an M7. I want to go into finance. Should I go to Booth or Wharton or like Columbia? Because the other business schools Kellogg, I would place there as well. So other business schools, they are strong. They have a strong reputation in all the other aspects as well. But do they have the similar standing in terms of finance placements as these business schools? I'm not sure of that. So it comes down to different aspects. That time people would want to explore more about the culture that they want to go to, the kind of class. For some people, class size matters a lot. I have spoken with someone who chose Dartmouth Tuck over Howard because they were like, I cannot do like a class this huge. So these aspects are also taken into consideration.
Makes sense.
And just
for
to,
everybody, yeah. Oh,
yeah,
no, I just want to just add in for anybody who is, interested in applying to the M7 schools, T15, T30, or any international MBA programs. Just FYI, MBA Spotlight Fair is happening on June 10th and 11th. The adcoms of majority of these schools are going to be, at one place, one time. And I feel like you guys will benefit from this event a lot. You'll win cool prizes, consulting.
Don't get those fee waivers.
Yeah, fee waivers, GMAT Club tests as well. It's a free event, so please make sure to register. The link will be added down below, or you can just go to gmatclub.com and register from there. Evan or no, Dipesh, one of you were about to say something.
I was going to comment on the M7, and Dipesh pretty much said 99% of what I was going to say. But if you go to Northwestern and you want to go back to New England or Boston, unless you're doing it through McKinsey Bain or BCG, odds are you should go to Dartmouth Tuck over Northwestern. Regional placement, and not only that, but where the alumni base is, where they're working, what companies they're well integrated in, and our senior executives in, that should be where you're targeting for your school. if you don't have any alumni in a certain area, if you want to work, again, I keep using Boston because I love New England. I'm from the New England area. If you wanted to work at Keurig Dr. Pepper has their headquarters in Texas. They have a massive subsidiary in the Massachusetts area. If there are no alumni in the Massachusetts area, but there are plenty of them in Texas, it doesn't matter. They're not going to know anybody in the Massachusetts office, and therefore you're not going to be able to really get alumni traction. You need to have alumni there who are going to support you, advocate for you, and open that door for you, and region matters significantly. So please do consider that when looking at these schools. Good news is if you want to work in Boston, New York, Chicago, you have plenty of options because most of the top schools are in these areas. And even some of the non-top schools that are regional that can afford you the life that you want to live and open those doors, also available to you.
That's true. And once again, guys, I mean, if you're watching this and you're just wondering,
how many are watching this?
There are a lot coming in between, but I'm sure that whoever's going to watch this once the live session
Selbi, how many people?
Hey, come on. Well, there's 8 right now. There you go.
Oh my God.
But
8.
if you're watching this and you are wanting to know a bit more in depth how we came across these rankings, we do have our blog post that came up on the GMAT Club's website. So the link is going to be added somewhere down below. Once again, if you are interested in going into any of these business schools, please make sure to join the MBA Spotlight Fair. Trust me, it's something that you do not want to miss. We always get queries on when it's going to happen again by a lot of, upcoming applicants. So don't miss out. But I feel like we covered a majority of these rankings. Is there anything else that we missed, Dipesh, Evan?
I think we pretty much discussed everything.
Yeah, no, nothing really comes to mind. And I'm sorry to disappoint our grand total of 8 people watching right now. But my rankings opinions, I think, are starting to dry up. I think we were pretty exhaustive on our praise and our takedowns of a variety of components. And I think the base takeaway, I guess one of the last comments I want to make is rankings are directional. Use them as such. They're not end all be all, but they can tell you, again, assuming you want to go to a full-time program, directionally which programs are better and which programs are a little bit worse. At that point, it's up to you to figure out which of those schools your puzzle piece is going to fit into and where you're going to succeed, because that's all that matters at the end of the day. Once you graduate, you're the one who has to succeed. The school's not going to carry you. You're the one who's going to carry that brand, not the other way around.
Makes sense. Dipesh?
That's it. I would say the same thing. Rankings are just indicative and they give you a direction to go to. You should not base your decisions based on the granular rankings. Instead, just pick up this ranking, any ranking, for the direction, and based on that, explore the culture, explore the academics, explore the clubs that these business schools have to offer, and then try to find out which place do you belong to, and then make your decision. Create a list that way, because I think creating a short list of top business schools that you want to apply to is a very, very exhausting task, and you should not just make it based on just the rankings that you see in any publication.
And actually, something popped into my head here as we were talking. So we've talked about geography quite a bit, but I think we meant mostly in terms of placement of where you want to be, meaning if you want to be in Boston, Dartmouth, Harvard, MIT, you want to be on the West Coast, Haas, UCLA, USC, probably better than Kellogg or Darden, for example. What people also have to keep in mind, you have to live here for 2 years if you're doing full-time. If you're doing part-time, you have to be able to actually then get to the location, keeping that in mind. So if you live in California and you're going to do part-time Harvard, enjoy that plane ride every week or two. Like that's a huge ask. But I had a friend who went to Duke. She was what was her official title here? She was a moderator for GMAT Club. I won't list a name, Selbi. I think you know who I might be referring to.
Yes.
She, great woman, love her to death. She came over from a different country. She was not domestic. She was foreign, and she loved Duke, hated where it was because it's in the middle of nowhere. But unfortunately, a lot of the top schools are in the middle of nowhere. UVA Darden is in Charlottesville, not Charlotte, North Carolina, Charlottesville. That is in the middle of Virginia, which does not have a whole lot around it. You're an hour and a half from the nearest major airport. You got a whole lot of trees called the Shenandoah Valley, and that's it. A lot of nature. If you don't like that, go to NYU Stern, go to Columbia. But if you hate cramped city urban environments, go to Virginia, go to Duke. Be careful of Yale. It's in New Haven. Unless you like pizza, may not be a good fit for you because it's not really a good city and it's kind of unsafe. But I should know. I drove through there many times from Virginia back up to Massachusetts and was told multiple times to lock the doors and not get out of my car. When I was in New Haven. Was it worth it for the pizza? You better believe it. Doesn't mean I'd want to be there for 2 years for schooling. So, keeping in mind crime and the year that you want to spend 2 years, especially if you have a family or you're looking to find a partner at this program, it's important to know where you're going to be able to thrive or at least put up with for 2 years.
That's true. I kind of like how we decided that we're going to roast schools, but at the end of the day, we kind of taught our audience how to shortlist their business school.
Wait, if we actually want to roast schools, I can get going here. Like I can really get on a roll. It's kind of
one more live session.
Like Dipesh can do it too. Like when you go to these schools, you all trash talk each other to the point where like the dirt on all of them, like every single one. I mean, I should probably look at UVA and say, no, they were laughing at us because we worked so hard. Rightfully so. It's true. We worked incredibly hard, and we had most schools laughing at us. That's just an MBA experience. Every school is going to be a little bit different, and it's going to have its pros and cons. But we should definitely roast schools at some point. That would be a lot of fun, especially because I don't need to care about any other school. I've already got my MBA. I'm good.
We should do a live session where we bring like the T15, all the T15, like each student from the T15, and just have them like debate over who's
too many people. So many people.
Okay, maybe we'll start with the M7.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Elitist. I'm sorry, is your school M7? No? Okay then. Yeah. See, okay. Look, this whole point was to talk about rankings, to bash them, to really make sure that you don't care about them that much to a point. And here Selbi is saying that M7, we're going top line here, and everyone else can go down. You just disproved the entire point of this video.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Hey, I was just thinking of how cool it would be. I'm interested in like just hearing the debates between each of the students. But anyways, I think we managed to cover it all. But again, whoever's watching this, if you have any thoughts regarding the rankings, please be my guest. Add them in the comment section down below. We love hearing your thoughts. And once again, guys, please register for the MBA Spotlight Fair. And we'll see you then on June 10th and 11th. Thank you so much, Dipesh and Evan. Wonderful insights. Take care. Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye, guys.